wash over me, leave me far from my surroundings.
I'm here at the Griffin House. It's a beautiful wedding venue a little bit outside of Hood River that has sweeping panoramic views of the Columbia River Gorge. This is one of my personal favorite venues to shoot at, and I'm super excited to show it to you. Let's take a look inside. Now, the Griffin House is not your typical venue on the gorge. See, most of the time you'll either be deep in the woods or maybe you'll have a little bit of a view of some river, but here we're actually up on the cliffs, right on the edge. You can see orchards, you can see people out parasailing, and then inside you have this beautiful house that's over 100 years old, and it's been renovated and retooled specifically for weddings. As you can see, it's staged beautifully, it's super photo friendly, and there's tons of room for you and your wedding party to get ready on the morning of. Right now we're upstairs in the Griffin's wing. There are a bunch of bedrooms, bathrooms, and spaces for your wedding party to get ready on the morning of. And then if you follow me into this room right here, this is kind of where the magic happens. Behind me, there's a window that looks down on the ceremony area. So as you're having your final touches done for hair and makeup, you can actually watch your guests arrive downstairs. And then if you look right here, we've got this beautiful skylight. So as you're working with your makeup artist, there's just a ton of potential for cool pictures and videos and just lots of pretty light. I really appreciate how spacious the Griffin's wing is, with all of these bedrooms and bathroom spaces. And then downstairs, there's an entirely separate suite for getting ready called the Griffin's Den. Let's take a look at that together. Now, down on the lower level of the house, we have this room that we call the Griffin's Den. It's a separate getting ready suite so that you and your sweetheart don't see each other. There's plenty of separation across the floors of the house. There's tons of room here for your wedding party to get ready. And then just outside here, we'll take a look at this really beautiful patio area. Now, just directly outside of the Griffin's Den here, we have one of many patios. There are a ton of little outdoor spaces in this venue that make it feel really intimate, and yet it's very sprawling. There's a ton of room. Now, I'm really excited to show you a general layout of what it's going to be like for your guests, and we're going to move through the venue from their perspective, starting right up here at the welcome area. Now, the Griffin House has a parking lot with 25 spots. It's just enough for you, your wedding party, and some of your vendors. But your guests will need to be shuttled in. And once they are, they'll be greeted by this beautiful front of the house. They can wander straight through the patio down to the ceremony area. And as that wraps up, there's a beautiful lawn over here where you can do a cocktail hour. But before we get into that, I want to show you the spot where you're going to get married. It's insane. Let's take a look. This is the ceremony area with this panoramic sweeping view of orchards and the river behind me. There will be plenty of room for you to put rows of chairs, and right behind you, you can have an arbor. This is one of the most beautiful spots that I've ever shot a wedding ceremony, and I look forward to it every time I get to film out here. I'm always amazed by how many people they're able to squeeze right onto the cliff's edge for your wedding ceremony. It's truly beautiful. And now once that ceremony finishes, your guests will make their way back up through the patio that they came from. But they're gonna go a different direction this time. Tucked right back here is the East Lawn. This is an area where you can have live music, you can have cocktails, you can have lawn games. It's a space to put your guests while you're staging and getting ready for the reception. Now, you might have noticed by now, I'm fighting it with my hair. This venue is super windy, and that's kind of the price you pay for views like this. I mean, check this out. Amazing. The East Lawn has plenty of space to put all of your guests for a little cocktail hour after this ceremony. It's tucked in with all of this foliage, but then over here you have this beautiful view of the river gorge. So they can spend time mingling, they can talk, have a nice drink or two, and then they can make their way down to the reception. We'll go take a look at that next. Now it's time for your reception. Guests will make their way down the stairs and through the lawn to the clear tent behind us. This is where you're gonna have a majority of your wedding party happen. We've got plenty of space inside of this tent to have a dance floor in the center and tables all around the edges. The Griffin House will provide enough tables and chairs for 175 guests, which is plenty to fill this space out and make it your own. And I've seen this tent decorated all sorts of ways. People love to hang flowers from the center and the roof. They love to put all kinds of arrangements. You can have your DJ off in the corner. You can have a bar over here. There's just tons of potential with this space. This is the ultimate place to have a party, and I love how all of this natural light comes in through the clear panels on this tent. It just makes it feel so open and yet also nice and covered and kind of closed off. Now, the Griffin House is designed for catering. There's tons of infrastructure here to have fresh meals served on site. And they have a list of preferred vendors that you can work with for your meals. I've personally eaten off of a ton of their menus, and I highly recommend it. Now, I always love to bring up the topic of bathrooms because that's super important when you have 175 people eating and drinking. We have this really nice set of stalls behind me, and guests can flow out of the reception tent and right up here to use these really nice plumbed, fresh bathrooms. If you want to have a wedding a little bit outside of the Portland area or come from far away, we're not too far from PDX, so it makes a really good location for locals as well as people who are just looking for an amazing destination wedding. If you and your sweetheart are considering getting married out on the Columbia River Gorge, then I highly recommend the Griffin House. In fact, I try not to play favorites with venues, but this is kind of it for me. This place blows me away. You can reach out to their team directly to get more information, and while you're at it, check out A Beautiful Union. We're a film house based out of Portland, where we do weddings and elopements all over the West Coast and beyond. See you in the next one.